Moving right along, geometry to the point and beyond, the Ghpython node at WICKERSON Studios. We're going to have a little conditional fun here with a 2D point array. So let's jump right into it, and it's actually not going to look as complex as this. It won't be 3D. Let's just take that off to preview off. Actually, let's take it right to disable. And let's jump in and start making an interesting little conditional script. So zoom on in to where you're going to make it, and it doesn't have to be anywhere. Jump in your Math tab, grab yourself a Python node, and this time we'll name it because we forgot to name it last time. Right-click it. We'll call this to the point fun with conditionals. Hardly a script you're going to want to make into a user object, but one worth having in case you want to test out and see what's going on. There's something on here. Oh, it's just an old surface that I did. So we are going to zoom on in here, and what we're going to begin with is creating more point lists so we can actually play conditionally with them. But let's start again from the start. Erase everything. I know it's a little tedious to have to erase it and put it back in, but may as well get in the habit of doing it. Jump in there and do your import. We're not going to be using Rhino geometry, we'll be using Rhino script syntax. Import Rhino script. Complete the tab over for a quick finish as RS. We are going to make a few lists now. Point list 1. We will set blank in an array of double brackets. Points 2. We will set that to another empty list, and points 3. And you can continue. You can make as many conditionals as you like. Think of conditionals as if you wake up in the morning, if you eat your breakfast, if you drive to school, if you bike to school, if you're late, if you're early, if you get a raise, if you get fired, and think how you live conditionally in your own life. Here we go. For I in range, and this will introduce our first input, and we're going to go from 0 to 100, but because we're going to 100, I am actually going to type in, let's go from I in range 0 to x, and we're going to make x an integer, to 0 in height, actually to 1 in height. We will do a nested loop within that. I think that's what I'll do. But before I nest that loop, I'm going to go in and say, okay, we're already dealing with x as an integer, so let's set it to an integer. And here's our nested loop. Let's continue. For y, let's do j in range 0 y1, and I don't know why I'm stepping it up 1, I'm just doing that for fun, colon. Now we have our nested loop. We are going to create point variable that is equal to the Rhino script add point function, and you can auto-complete that. And once again, every time I auto-complete that, it seems to go to add patch. And I am going to set that into an array of I and j and 0 in the height, in the z. And in doing so, I am going to put my first condition on. If, let me just think about this. If I is, I'm taking a look over here, modulus, if it's divisible by a number, which I will introduce into the script, and I am going from a script, but I'm playing with it as I'm going, and if I is modulus to num1 equal to 0, which means an even number, if that number is, say, 2 or 1, it's actually going to create, it's not going to be so much even, it's going to build a certain pattern as if I divided by this number leaves a remainder of 0, and j as modulus of the num1, actually we'll make that num2 is equal to 0, then you can kind of think of that as if then with the colon, we are going to set the point, we're going to append the points 1, we're going to append them with those points. Okay, so that's kind of a way to start. Let's back it off to the beginning of that again so we can add an elif statement, which we haven't had an elif statement yet, and it's basically else if, but before we get to the final else. Else if x I modulus, let's get this right, we have to get our variables right, modulus num1 is equal to 0, very similar to what we did, but we're going to play with a different conditional, or instead of and, y modulus j modulus num2 is equal to 0. So that's a comparison between if and then and if or then. And that's going to make quite a little difference in here. And I'm going to have to finish with a colon there. I'm going to append the points to. So points 2 I'm going to append with the points. So you're going to get different things for different conditionals and different things being reached. Now what we should do is we're going to go back and finish our else, but before we do that, we've got this statement that's going to allow us to have a grid between 12, 0 and 100, and 0 and 100. And I like to do this because hard coding 100, if my script doesn't work, I can always move these numbers up later in the X and Y. You'll see within here, within the start, stop, step. And so that's basically what that is starting at 0, going to whatever, 12 in the X, 12 in the Y, and then stepping by 1. So sorry, I was thinking of that as a point in the Z-axis. I shouldn't even have considered thinking that way. Let's go back in here and add 2 more. Now, one thing I want to do to these is ensure that I've declared them, but I've got to assign them. I think I already did that. So I'm just double checking my assigning from them. And you don't, yeah, let's assign the hint integer. So you can always roll over it and it'll tell you exactly what it is. Hint, type hint int, type hint int. Now, these ones are going to be a number of modulus, and I'm going to leave those as integers just for convenience. And I think you have to have that. I'm going to set them in integers, but remember, they're not named that. They're actually named num1, and they're going to be named num2. We're getting a little closer to finishing this script, and I like to write in my Grasshopper canvas at the same time I'm writing computationally within the Python node, just to keep track of things. So these numbers, as to what they are as integers, what should I set them at? What's a good number range? And I think if I just put them between 0 and 10 as integers, I should be all right. So I'm just going to keep small groupings. We'll put that one there, and we'll put this one here. Maybe we'll roll the num1 up to 6, and we'll roll this one up to 4, and see how that begins to start to be scripted. That's probably all I have to input in this function. But let's keep going with the script and see where we get. Let's back it up. Now, this is nice. You can end with else. Else any other condition, we're going to append the points. Append the points 3, all the rest of the points with the points. So anything that's not met by those 2 conditions, either this if condition or this else if condition. When I'm done that, all I have to do is output the points to the 3 different outputs, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do points 1 underscore out equals points 1. And a little shortcut here is to hit Control Copy, then go to the next line, hit Paste, and then you really don't have to retype the whole bloody thing. You can just go in there and write exactly what you want to, and then do the 3 here. And now, if I haven't done a typo, let's do a little quick. Well, let's not do a test yet. Let's get in here and add our 2 outputs of what we need. And at this point, sometimes I'm lazy, and I go in here and I double-click, I hit Copy, I right-click here, and I just paste that in. And sometimes go back here, grab that, copy, go here, paste it in. And you get a little quicker at this as you go and get a little more into the nodes and figuring out exactly what you want to do. And let's pop these in here. There we go. And because they're points, it might be nice to be able to select them differently instead of this node, which will show everything. And we can color them differently and do funny things to make sense of them. And there's an example in this text that actually does that. So if we output the points and we want to look at them as sets of these points and these other 2 sets, we might want to see within our rendered window or not what colors they are. So then you can get into a little bit of display, grab yourself a color slider, grab yourself 3 of those, and set your geometry. So there, you can have the default color, which is a putrid Pepto-Bismol pink, in my opinion, and then you can just put your materials on as, go back to here and grab yourself a preview. Actually, I think it's in params. Go back to inputs and have yourself a color swatch, and just grab yourself 1 color swatch, 2 and 3, and just pop them in there. They're a little messed up. I'm just going to space these a little better. There we go. And put my next color in, my next color, and we'll have good old, maybe America. Where is it? We'll do blue, we'll do purple, and we'll do white. That's fine. And now, let's run the script to see if we get lucky. And I did. So what has happened? I've got these points outputting. They're getting a good list of points. I'm taking a look. I have 48 in here, I have 6 in here, and I have 90 in here. So I should be thinking I'm going to get actually over on my window 3 different colors. So let's take a look. And there we go. It's exactly what you got. You got a grid that's followed that pattern and done exactly what you want you've written it computationally, and you have control over it parametrically. So now you can start to play with data and think of it as different data in different trees, lists of lists, and you're actually building with all these points your maybe one of your first tree structures. So if we took a look in here and maybe use the sets merge tool, which you might be accustomed to doing in Grasshopper, because I'm hoping you have a little practice of this. Pull this one in, and of course this will pull it in without the color. You can actually see that you're actually pulling in trees. So not only do you have this list on one branch, you'll see all of a sudden there's another. I was hoping I'd have my branch. These three coming through, 240. Oh, it merged them all together. I shouldn't have done that. I should have actually just taken that data, plugged it in here, held down Shift, and plugged it in there, and then held down Shift here. And now I should have a system that actually is branches. One branch. Oh, it still merged it all. Very strange. I didn't think the data would do that. I thought I'd have it in different groups. Well, I'll have to think of how to keep my sets and keep them in the different branches to different groups to do that, and I'll just have to play around with the tree information and pull it in a different way. That's interesting. I thought it was going to end up with something different. Maybe I've been too long out of Grasshopper and too long into Python to start figuring this out. One branch with 24 items. Yeah, it's just adding those to the branch. I see what's happening. It's just let me try that again. Put you in Shift. Sometimes I can say, yeah, it's just adding those. It's overriding. My panel's not taking a look at them that way. All right, so that was kind of a big sidetrack. I shouldn't even bothered with it. You've got them grouped in their different areas. You can deal with them on the different branches that way. I'll get into tree stats at a later time. Anyway, that's it. Pretty simple script. You also can go in and change the scale of what you're playing. And you can do more interesting things in your conditional going back into here. If you were saying for this conditional you wanted to raise these ones up, and we could have different factors. We could have this be, let's just put on an integer value of 2, and let's set that to integer. And now I'm just playing around with my scripts, and I don't like 0 because it looks pretty hard-coded. Let's put it in a Z. Let's put this one add point. Let me see what I did here. LF. Did I add my point? Append my point? I might have forgotten. No, I've appended my point. My point, add point. Yeah, that's basically what it's doing. Now Z is going to allow me to play off of it and just raise it up the different sets. And of course, it's going to affect all of them, so it's not going to be that exciting. I was thinking I could also write into here that you're making this point. Let's take this out. Let's just do a little comment. And this is where the playfulness in computational studies might interest some people. Let me grab, I think I already did grab that. Let's copy that. Let's put that into that append point. And I'm not going to put it in there. I'm actually going to put it in here. Let's see what happens. And I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to set this one to X, and I'm going to set those to Z, and this one I'm going to set to Z plus Z. And then I'm going to go down here to my last set. I'm just curious what happens when I do this because I hadn't done it before. Now this is going to be Z plus Z plus Z. And that might allow for an interesting little pattern that's a little different. And there it is. I've been able to stagger and step those up in different areas just because I decided to play with it. So if we take a look on the on this level, the side angle right there, you can see exactly what's happened. It's chosen those different numbers, and because they're in different sets, you'll see they jump and they move, not only because Z is multiplying, well, it's doubling and it's tripling, but this is a way of staggering and stepping and thinking things on different floors and using colors. So I thought that was kind of interesting to think about. So just play around with that. Play around with your sets. You're dealing with a modulus and a remainder, and it's patterning out information. You're working in lists, and then if you bring these all together, of course, then you're dealing in lists of lists. You bring this into one big tree. All right. Thanks very much for watching. I got a little lost there in the process, but that's what it's all about. It all comes down to getting into the script and deciding, okay, what do you want to do conditionally? So fun with conditionals. The last thing I'm going to do is go onto here and say, let's make a user object. Let's keep it as tests. Let's grab fun with conditionals. Let's put it in here as a title. We will do it as test. Let's grab a little icon. We will set it to the red cautionary and see if another one pops up on the WICKERSON Studios. There it is. And we will grab our little fun with conditionals 1 And with the Control Shift, I can plug that one into there, that one into there, that one into there, and this one can come down into here, this one into here. I can delete this, shove this up into here, and now we've got a nice little labeled logo. Then if I go to bifocal tools, I can see what kind of nodes I'm playing with. Let's pull it in there, and there we go. Final conditionals of WICKERSON Studios. There's your script. Keep playing with it. There's no end to conditionals and what you can possibly do to them. And I think if I take it off here, I can get back into the color. If I take these all to preview off, no, not preview off, but how do I get that to come up into the colors of what they are? There it is. I have to select on. Oh, I can't remember. Let's take this to preview off. There we go. If we take that node off and we're looking at them separately, it doesn't override it. And you're left with a nice little pattern. And now you can see where we're getting closer to getting into something that's a little more fun to look at, like this. And take that preview on, and there we go. We'll zoom back out and get into our crazy colored pattern of removing that. And there we go. We're back into what it is, our little pattern nested within this larger structure. Thanks again for watching. My videos are going to get a little more chaotic. You're going to see little tricks and trips of the trade, and that's what it's all about. And hopefully you come up with your own and you customize your own nodes and have fun with all that stuff. So thanks again for watching.